Hi, it's Home Inspector David Fairbairn with Fairbairn Inspection Services, and we are doing an inspection in Surrey, BC of a foreclosure house with a lot of issues. So if you want to follow along, I'm going to show you what we're going to look for and how we're going to save the buyer some money today. So here we are in the under stair area where the hot water tank is located, and we're having a look at this electric hot water tank. This is a Bradford White 40-gallon hot water tank. It's approximately 3 years old. And the way we know that is we can have a look at our serial number. So if we zoom in, you can actually see on the serial number, we read it right here, and it's going to tell us the date of manufacture. And that's the way we determine the age of the tank. If we have a close look, there's some really important features that we need to have on every hot water tank. Number one is a relief valve. This is for safety. This is if the tank over-pressurizes or overheats, it's going to vent out the excess pressure and water out of this pipe here onto the, in this case there's actually a drain at the back where that will go to. And then we also have a vacuum breaker right here. Vacuum breakers are critical. If you shut off the tank and you open up a valve elsewhere in the house, you could actually collapse the tank because of the vacuum in the system. So we need to have vacuum breakers, and then, you know, really obvious, we have to have a shut off. So this is actually going to allow us to shut off the hot water tank. Electric tanks, they use an upper and a lower burner or an element to heat the water. So sometimes these can actually fail. With a thermal camera, sometimes we can determine if one is failing, but the most obvious sign that one of them has failed is that your electricity bill goes up, because one of the elements is actually cycling constantly to keep up because the other one has failed. So if you ever see your electricity bill go up, that's probably, it's one of the main causes anyways. And here we can see our plumbing. It's actually copper, original copper to the building. We're gonna have a close look around, make sure none of the fittings are leaking, because as pipes age, you can get leaks at the solder connections and the fittings. And you know, eventually the customer may want to consider upgrading as they renovate. So here we are in the kitchen, and we can see there's quite a bit of damage here on the ceiling. This was actually caused by a failed washing machine hose, and we can see the amount of damage that's happened here. It's actually still dripping a little bit, and the ceiling has actually been torn down by the owner. So we're going to need all new drywall in here, and the next time we hook up our laundry machines, we're going to check those hoses pretty carefully. You need to have steel braided burst-proof hoses so that this doesn't happen again. A thermal imaging camera can determine hidden leakage, especially below bathrooms. Here we can actually see the path of the water as it sits above the drywall. It's actually giving a cold spot on our thermal imaging camera, so we know definitely there is water in the ceiling. So this is why we always start from the top floor and work our way down so we can test all our fixtures. And that's one of the services we offer, is thermal imaging with every inspection. Here we have a bathroom fan that is not actually connected to any ducting in the attic. This is common with older homes, but what happens, if you can see, it's not actually venting outside, it just vents into the ceiling or into the attic space. And what happens is all the humid air from the bathroom ends up collecting condensation on the sheeting. And you can see here there's actually some mold growth on the sheeting. So what we need to do right away is get this bathroom fan connected to vent the air outside with this duct to prevent any further damage. So now we're going to have a look inside the electrical panel. I've got a power driver here. We're going to open up the dead front, have a look inside. Here we see that we have copper wire as the branch circuit wiring right here. This is a good find. The building was actually built in the 70s, and some buildings in the 70s will have aluminum branch circuit wiring, which is actually a major problem. They still use aluminum on some of the multi-strand higher amperage connections here. Also, you'll notice the service conductors over here are aluminum as well. This is perfectly acceptable, although we recommend having antioxidant paste on the terminals. You can see that they've actually put it here. That just prevents overheating and corrosion. And then we can check for snugness on our wires here, just to make sure that they're not loose, because sometimes loose wires can cause sparking and overheating. So we like to just check and make sure they're not loose. Some of these will come loose over time, especially after 40 years. So these are actually all nice and tight. Thanks for watching. So we're finished the inspection. If we can do an inspection for you in Surrey, give us a call, 604-395-2795, or visit us online at vancouverinspections.com.